Hello, and welcome to another video. In this video we're playing some Lethality Operative. It has been a little bit since I played Lethality, but the situation has finally arrived where there's a decent amount of melee and having the durability of Lethality, but also just the evasion and stealth out becomes really handy, and in general just being able to dot people and run comes in great value. So there is a pre-made on enemy team. Our team is like woefully unprepared, but Lethality is definitely a good choice here. So if you're ever in a situation where there's a lot of melee, or there's like a pre-made and there's like seemingly no other like, pre-made, or if they're just playing like a lot of melee, if they're playing a lot of range, don't do this. It's awful. Don't play Lethality with a bunch of range. It's not fun. And also, it will definitely probably like put you in a situation where you get roll bugged. You don't want that to happen. So you'll actually like have to sit a lockout if you get roll bugged. So just kill you. You'll hit respawn. You'll be stuck in spawn. Unless somebody pulls you, you're just stuck. It sucks. It's not fun. So for the most part, to play Lethality, it's not hard. Really, all you do is cross the dart, cross the grenade, then toxic blast into toxic haze, and then lethal strike. You don't even need to lethal strike. Most of the damage is just coming from toxic haze and all your dots. So anytime there's a big AoE, toxic haze is a huge amount of damage. Even just using it to use it, even especially on like other specs who are just playing it for tactical, it's still worth using. It's very good damage. And one thing to think about too as Lethality, it's actually incredibly good to use these pillars here. If I knew there was a lot more people coming my way in that situation, I could have like throw down haze, got like 4 people and AoE'd on them, but 2 of them didn't commit, so I just kept pushing forward anyway. It's one thing to think about, just like strategic wise. You're a class that has dots, and you're basically waiting for your haze to come up to spread again. Unfortunately, I had the what is it called? The ability queue window on 0.5 or something on here, and I usually play with none on operative or 0.25, so I ended up double rolling an accident there. That was me being impatient, and then I toxic haze in the middle of nowhere. Don't do that. Don't be like me. But it goes to show you how easy this spec actually is. It's not a difficult thing to do like 20k on it. Obviously when there's a lot more opposition and you're not able to play as much, it's going to be a lot harder, especially if you're going to play against like a whole bunch of range. You don't want to play against a whole bunch of range. It's not a fun time, again, as I said. But if you're playing against a decent amount of melee, it's just pretty much free damage. When it comes to like doing sustained damage, after you have all 3 dots on the target, you're really just using corrosive assault, shiv, corrosive assault, shiv as soon as it comes up. As long as you're always shivving before you corrosive assault, you kind of can manage your TAs. So just think of it like if you got 2 TAs, corrosive assault. If you got 1, if you got shiv up, you just shiv, so on and so forth. And also what happened in this situation, that there's another person there. I line of sight just to take less damage, and typically how you play is kind of like how you would play concealment. You wait for your combo to come back up over and over. You still have your dots going, so there's really no need to press your damage, especially when you're taking a lot of damage. It would be actually better just for you to try to mitigate it as much as you can, so you can get another haze up, which haze is going to be a lot of your damage. So it's really just a stalling mechanic for each haze, basically, if you're taking too much damage to sustain damage. Then as for like just throwing your dots out there, corrosive assault can be spread with toxic haze, toxic blast can be spread with toxic haze if you have fire elements on, and corrosive grenade needs to be applied per person. It's an AoE slow, but it's also an AoE dot. It doesn't always hit everybody, so you might have to like tab, throw it on people. Just don't overdo it. Sometimes it's not that big of a deal, but for the most part, just try not to spend too many GCs on it unless you're taking the damage reduction version of it. Then it becomes very beneficial to sometimes spam it a little bit to make sure you get the maximum damage reduction. I know some people like to take the non-reset version of Lethality, so you get 5% extra healing and 5% extra damage. That is very good, I won't deny. However, I just prefer the reset because it gives you more durability in terms of like being able to reset your med shield, or I guess a Zorb. That'll give you 15% damage reduction for 6 seconds. And then it also resets your revitalizers, and it gives you a 5% health heal if you take the talent that I do. So that's a lot of damage reduction, like on demand available. But it also gives you some offensive power, so it increases your mastery by a lot. My mastery is already pretty high, so being able to push that even higher, that's great. And I'll say that, like, that's pretty much it for Lethality. Lethality is not a difficult spec. With the nerf to viral elements, Lethality is a lot worse than what it used to be in comparison to like being more versatile. So like even in like full sort games, Lethality would still be really good because it still had like good single target too. Now it's like, not only does it easily get controlled in those matches, it doesn't have that on-demand burst that it used to with Lethal Haze. That's basically what got nerfed, so it doesn't really have anything. It's just like a constant pressure sustained spec. It's just doing AoE damage at all times. Only in AoEs will it really threaten people, and Storks are just basically not immune to AoEs. So losing that definitely makes them a lot less versatile into comps that it just shouldn't be good into anyway. So that's not really a bad thing, I would say. So in comps that it's good against is like this, where it can AoE like crazy. So, like overall the class, like sure it took a hit, but hit was necessary to rebalance it. It's still very strong and it's still very like unfair. It definitely does need a little bit of tuning, but in reality I think like it wouldn't be a bad thing to tune other classes to this point, so they could be as comparable. I do think evasion extension, especially for Lethality, should probably go. It should be like something else for Lethality, because Lethality only has the extended evasion, and then also taking the extra extension on evasion is a little obnoxious. Light damage already has like a really hard time in PvP in general. It doesn't need a 7-second evasion like every 3 seconds. That's just overkill. Now going into what do you call it? Optimizations. I don't know if you guys watched that, but if you did watch that video, I would highly recommend like downloading the DirectX files. I don't know if you guys were interested in that or got disinterested in that video or anything like that. Downloading the DirectX files, extracting it into its own folder, then running the DX setup, and then once you've done that, just keep those files somewhere on your operating system, whether it's in documents or wherever. Just basically don't get rid of them. When you first launch SWTORs again, it's going to be laggy, and just for the most part, like, deal with that. After the second launch or after like an hour of playing or less, it should smooth out, and you'll definitely be able to up your graphics settings if you wanted to. So this game is CPU bound and not GPU bound, so that basically means even if you have the best computer, sometimes in situations like in the 16-man content like this or raid, when there's a lot of abilities debuffs, just animations all at once, your CPU has to load all that, and most of the time, most people's CPUs cannot handle that. So it creates a lot of lag. It's almost inevitable, and there's virtually nothing to do about that. When it comes to this GPU, 9 times out of 10 already has the frame ready for the CPU. It's just waiting on the CPU. So if you actually increase your not your GPU, but if you increase your GPU usage and or your GPU settings or I guess graphic settings, it'll sometimes even net you in more FPS or more stable FPS and or drop you almost no FPS at all. Anyway, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll be more than happy to help. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.